Populism. You hear that word thrown around constantly, right? On the news, online, everywhere. But what does it actually mean? It seems to describe leaders on the left, on the right, and sometimes it feels like it means everything and nothing all at once. So today, we're going to cut through all that confusion. We're going to give you a really clear, powerful framework to understand one of the biggest forces shaping our world.
So let's just ask it straight up. What is populism? If you're not 100% sure, believe me, you are in very good company. This is actually one of the most debated, most argued over concepts in political science. The confusion, as it turns out, is part of the story.
You know, there's actually a technical name for words like this. They're called essentially contested concepts. And populism is the poster child for this. It's a term where the fight over what it means is, well, part of what it means. Kind of weird, right? But that's exactly why getting a straight answer is so darn hard.
And it's not just us. Even the experts can't seem to agree. You'll hear some say populism is a full-blown ideology, just like socialism. Others will tell you, no, it's just a way of talking, a political style. And others argue it's just a clever strategy to win elections. This disagreement is a huge reason why it's so confusing for the rest of us.
So how in the world do we find some clarity in all this mess? Well, the best way, and the method most scholars have landed on, is what's called the ideational approach. Fancy name, simple idea. It just means we're going to ignore all the noise about styles and strategies for a minute and focus on the core ideas that all populists, no matter where they are, seem to share. This is our key. This is how we unlock the puzzle.
And that brings us to a really crucial distinction. Okay, so think of big, thick ideologies like, say, socialism. They're like a complete instruction manual for society, right? They've got an answer for pretty much everything, the economy, culture, you name it. Populism, on the other hand, is a thin ideology. It's not the whole manual, it's more like a single, incredibly powerful chapter. And because it's so thin, it can easily attach itself to other, thicker ideologies. And that right there is why you can have both left-wing populists and right-wing populists.
All right, now we get to the absolute core of it. What is that one central idea, that one powerful chapter at the heart of the populist view? Well, it all boils down to a single, really important definition.
Here it is. This is the most widely accepted definition out there. Populism is an ideology that sees society as split into two groups, and only two: the pure people on one side versus the corrupt elite on the other. And crucially, it argues that politics should just be a direct expression of what the people, the general will, want. This definition is our foundation for everything else.
So let's break that down into three simple pillars. First, the world is split clean in two. No middle ground, just two basic groups. Second, this isn't just a disagreement over policy. It's a moral battle. It's literally good versus evil. And third, the whole point of politics is to enact the general will of the people, period. No need for compromise, because that would be a betrayal.
And this, right here, is probably the most important takeaway of all. The central conflict in populism is fundamentally moral. It's not about the rich versus the poor, or one nationality versus another. It's about the pure, authentic, common-sense people versus a corrupt, inauthentic elite that only serves special interests. This moral frame is exactly how a billionaire can turn around and successfully paint themselves as a champion of the little guy.
Okay, to really sharpen our understanding, it's just as important to know what populism isn't. And by looking at its true opposites, the definition we're using becomes even clearer, even more powerful.
So the first real opposite of populism is elitism. And what's so fascinating here is that they share the exact same worldview. They both see society as split in two, and they both think compromise is a dirty word. The only difference is who they pick as the hero. Populists say the people are pure, elitists say the elite are pure. They are perfect mirror images of each other.
But the most fundamental opposite of populism, its true enemy, if you will, is pluralism. And pluralism is a core principle of liberal democracy. See, pluralism says society is not one big unified group. It's a messy, beautiful collection of many different groups, all with their own legitimate interests. So while populism demands we follow a single general will, pluralism celebrates the art of compromise. These two worldviews simply cannot coexist.
So why have we gone through all of this? Because this ideational approach, this way of thinking, it isn't just some dusty academic exercise. It's an incredibly practical and powerful tool that anyone can use to analyze and understand what's happening in the world with so much more clarity.
This approach gives us a powerful toolkit with 4 huge advantages. 1, it helps us clearly distinguish what is populist from what isn't. 2, it allows us to neatly categorize different types, like left-wing versus right-wing populism. 3, it travels well. We can apply this same framework to different countries and different points in history. And finally, it's versatile. We can use it to analyze both the politicians and the voters. It gives us a consistent way to make sense of a really complex world.
So, I'll leave you with a question. Now that you have this tool, this new lens for seeing the world as a battle between the pure people and the corrupt elite, where do you see that narrative playing out right now? Once you start looking for it, you might be surprised, or maybe not so surprised, at how often you find it.